Hello everybody, Thrash Till Death here. Just going to talk today about the album Ripples by Above Symmetry. This album was just released this April by Inside Out Records, but it's not actually a new album. It was released in January of last year when the band were still called Aspera. I actually got it last year, but since then the band have been forced to change their name due, I think, to legal issues, although don't quote me on that. And in order to sort of better accommodate the change of name, Inside Out have re-released the album together with a few bonus tracks, some moderately modified artwork and a new video. I figured this would be as good a time as any to talk about the album. Anyway, Above Symmetry, formerly known as Aspera, are part of a sort of relatively new trend in prog metal, similar to bands like Anubis Gate, Seventh Wonder and Darkwater. They come from a more sort of Scandinavian, I suppose, interpretation of prog metal. When prog metal as a genre sort of evolved, it came from bands like Dream Theater, who took in large part a lot of influence from American power metal and thrash metal, which has the sort of philosophy at the centre of it of the riff as being the centre of a song. And although Scandinavian prog metal bands are formally similar to their American counterparts, their sort of philosophy of songwriting in a lot of in a sense is different. Rather than the riff being the be-all and end-all of Scandinavian prog metal bands' songwriting, they tend to focus more on creating melodic, hooky songs with large anthemic chorus lines at the centre of the songwriting. Bands like Seventh Wonder, Darkwater, Anubis Gate tend to have a much greater emphasis on keyboards and tend to move away from riffs. Riffs are obviously still there, but more in service of melody than just for their own sake. And Aspera are sort of, well, Above Symmetry I suppose I should say now, but Above Symmetry are inheritors of that tradition. The album Ripples is chock full of massive anthemic chorus lines, and although there's the sort of requisite shredding and complex interweaving harmonies that you come to expect from the genre, they're all sort of in service of these large chorus lines. They sort of form the linchpin of their songwriting. And they do it very well. There's some really excellent musicianship going on here. Some really blistering melodic solos, particularly in the title track and in the final track, The Purpose. Yeah, Above Symmetry have definitely got their stuff together in a very major way. The band are composed of young musicians, all of them just in their early 20s, but they definitely have a high standard of musicianship, and they know how to write a very hooky chorus line and definitely sort of how to get a good melodic song under the listener's skin. With that said, the album does have its flaws. A lot of them, I think, can be chalked up to inexperience. The album's technical and more melodic, mellow sides are hard to reconcile in places. A lot of the time the band will be playing very tightly, just cranking out a relatively conventional song structure with a great emphasis on melody, as I've said, but sometimes they'll also branch off into more full-on prog insanity, with the instruments sort of branching off independently of each other and sort of doing their own thing, all laying down very complex harmonies and solos. And sometimes it can get a bit chaotic. The album can feel a bit unbalanced. And I think sometimes these two sides of the band's identity can work to the detriment of the other. And on top of that, the vocalist, although he's perfectly competent and can hit all the right notes where he's not required, in terms of sort of personality or idiosyncrasy, he's not really anything all that memorable. Singers like Russell Allen or Daniel Gilden, though, don't really have much cause to stay awake at night. But with that said, Above Symmetry, definitely a very promising young band. Although having to change your name just a year after the release of your debut isn't the most auspicious start to your career, Ripples is definitely a very competent and well put together prog metal album. Even if it does have its inconsistencies in places, most of these songs, if not all of them, definitely make for good listening. And so I wouldn't put them on the same level as bands like Seventh Wonder or Anubis Gate just yet, but I would say definitely look out for these guys in the future, because I think Ripples shows promise of greater things to come. As it stands, if you haven't done it already when the album came out last year, I think now's as good a time as any to check out the album. Obviously, Inside Out have been doing a lot to sort of promote this band. They've got the new video out, doing everything they can to facilitate sort of a smooth changeover after the name change. So they seem to be setting a lot of stock in the band, and I think rightly so, because there is definite talent on display here. So the album is streaming in its entirety for free on AOL Music, so now's as good a time as any. Go and check it out while you've got the opportunity. So yeah, I think this is definitely a act to keep an eye on for the future. Anyway, until next time, I'm Thrashed to Death, and yes, I'm aware I have like a large wound on the side of my face. Yeah, the ninjas sort of grazed me, but they were no match for the power of metal. So, until next time, Thrashed to Death, see you later.